It feels like 2021 again because we have reports and rumors linking Tyler Hero with the Toronto Raptors. What's up, everybody? It is JJ Buckets, and that's what we're going to talk about today. So before I fully hop into things, the usual drill, folks, just make sure you're leaving a like on the video. It helps the algorithm out a ton, and I really do appreciate it, and I really do mean it every time I say it. Subscribe to the channel if you're new here. Plus, if you plan on doing a responsible sports betting in the near future, just make sure to check out my link in the description below. So we know one of the biggest storylines of this offseason is the fact that Damian Lillard officially requested a trade from the Trailblazers. Finally. And with him requesting that trade, it was specifically he wants to be in Miami, right? The problem with that is Miami's asset pool is a little meh. And in particular, their biggest asset that they could be sending back in this trade to Portland is Tyler Hero. Now, why is that a problem? Well, because the Blazers don't really need somebody like Tyler Hero on the roster, right? Like, they already have a pretty good plethora of guard depth on the team. You know, they just drafted Scoot Henderson, they have Anthony Simons, and they have Shaedon Sharpe. Those are all really good young players that you're gonna obviously want on the court. You're gonna want to give them as many minutes as possible, and in the situation here, like, where's the need for Tyler Hero? So it's naturally hampered trade talks from obviously the Blazers and the Heat, and nothing has really developed there. And a lot of the talk from this offseason has been the fact that there's going to be a third team to get involved that will obviously take Tyler Hero and then send the Blazers whatever assets that they're going to send to make that deal work and to facilitate that trade. And one of the teams that has been recently included in these rumors are the Toronto Raptors. That's right. The Raptors have at least had exploratory interest in facilitating this deal and in acquiring Tyler Hero. And I kind of get it. So it's funny because I talked about it at the beginning of the video, and Tyler Hero was somebody that the Raptors did kind of explore when it came to the Kyle Lowry signing trade, obviously, and when it came to just Kyle Lowry trade rumor deadlines and stuff like that before he got signed and traded to the Heat. So his name is surfacing again. It doesn't really seem like Masai has lost interest in potentially adding Tyler to the team. And I can see why, right? Like, so with Tyler Hero, he is a lot of the things that you're missing on this team. Well, at least some of the things that you're missing on this team, right? And in particular, like, it's the most obvious one. It's something that, you know, it's a bit of a dead horse, you know, amongst Raptors fans, but I think it's because it's such a prominent need. He gives you perimeter shot creation, right? Like, yeah, don't get me wrong. Like, I'm not gonna sit here and tell you that Tyler Hero is on the same level as, you know, hell, because he's in this trade, let's talk about like a Damian Lillard, right? Like, you don't get the same levels of shot creation there. But Tyler Hero is a 23-year-old coming off back-to-back 20 points per game seasons, and I can understand that there's probably some interest there in terms of, hey, this guy's young enough, he's already producing, he's probably still got a little bit more to go in his development, he could obviously improve as a player. What would he look like in an expanded role? And I imagine for the most part, that's kind of what Masai is sitting there thinking, especially, again, considering that this roster really does not have that much shot creation. I mean, off the top of my head, like what, like, especially perimeter shot creation, like Gary Trent Jr., and I don't know if this is a take that's going to piss off Raptors fans, but like, yeah, Tyler Hero definitely has more upside as a shot creator and as a scorer than Gary Trent Jr., so I can understand the interest. Now, if we're going to compare one-to-one in terms of those players, like, obviously I would say Gary Trent Jr. has a little bit more defensive upside. I don't really think that's a particular strong suit for Tyler Hero. Like, he's not awful on that end, but he's not particularly great either. So, I don't know, if you're stacking up those two players one-to-one, because in my head, I kind of am realistically considering that I think Hero would be filling a lot of the same minutes and would potentially, depending on what they want to do with the lineups and how they shuffle around, like, he would be cutting into minutes of Gary Trent Jr. Hell, maybe Gary Trent Jr. is just not a part of the Raptors' future if they're thinking about this move, right? Because I think the interesting thing with Gary Trent Jr. too is we had talks of the imminent contract extension, and now that's kind of gone away. Although there have been some leaks about potentially like a 3-year, $60 million deal, but nothing's been confirmed, obviously. So again, it's interesting to see what the Raptors' vision is here, because again, I think they could definitely benefit from a player like this on the roster, but it would also be interesting to see who's getting packaged where in this discussion, because Tyler Hero has a fairly, hefty contract. I believe right now it's clocking in at like 27 mil or around that. It's going to be around that range and kind of increasing over the next few years. So like, obviously if you're the Raptors, you're sending out assets the other way to kind of salary match and again facilitate this deal, and then potentially draft pick compensation depending on what you're trading. So this is a guy that obviously, again, is young. You're gonna have team control over for a while considering his contract, and he has good upside and honestly probably an opportunity to grow in Toronto considering the potential direction of where the team goes. Obviously there's so much still up in the air with how the roster and how the team looks when the season begins, and obviously just moving forward in general. There's a lot of big decisions coming up, obviously with Pascal Siakam, potentially with OG Anunoby, but I would say it does seem like there is an emphasis on keeping OG Anunoby in Toronto, so I wouldn't be as worried about that one in terms of, how up in the air it is. But all that considered, like adding an intriguing young piece like Tyler Hero, while his trade stock might not be as high as it has been at different points, I can see why Masai would involve himself here. So my question for you, Raptors fans, is what would you be willing to see go in the other direction to facilitate this trade? What assets would you be willing to send out to the Blazers or the Heat or whatever the case is, to see Tyler Hero land in Toronto? Do you want Tyler Hero in Toronto? Because, like, I'd say compared to some of the other, prominent stars that have been available, and don't get me wrong, I'm not calling Tyler Hero a star, but like, is this something that's genuinely of intrigue? Actually, how about this? On a scale of 1 to 10, tell me how excited you would be about potentially landing Tyler Hero. And then in that, include and tell me what are the assets that you would be willing to give up to make this work. Comment all that below. Yeah, it's been more of a news update than it has been anything else, so not a particularly long video, as I'm sure you can tell. And yeah, I think that's been me for the day. Usual drill at the end of these videos, just if you're still watching this and you enjoyed the video, it takes a second, so just hit that like button. It really does help out a ton. Subscribe to the channel if you're new here. And yeah, it's been JJ Buckets. It's been a pleasure. I will see everybody next time.